To make these cinnamon rolls for the first time, I'm using Tasty's 101 cinnamon roll video. So I added 1/2 cup of unsalted butter into a microwave safe bowl and cut it in half and put it in the microwave so that it could melt completely. I whisked it up so that all the little bits of butter were melted. Then I added 2 cups of milk. So Tasty said to have your milk body temperature, so when you put your finger in, it shouldn't feel like anything. It should be your body's temperature, if that makes sense. So I added that to my butter and I whisked that up. Now I'm adding 1/2 cup of sugar. I usually use monk fruit sweetener, but I didn't know how it would affect the dough, so I added sugar instead. And now I'm adding 2 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast, or 1 packet of active dry yeast, same measurements. You have to let this bloom in a warm place. So I used my oven with the lights on for my warm place. I did 10 minutes, but I wasn't seeing too much growth. It didn't look the way Tasty's did, so I wasn't sure if it was working or not. But I had tested my yeast before, so I knew it was fine. So I just put it in for 10 more minutes, and the rolls turned out fine, so I guess there was no problem. I just had to do 10 extra minutes. Then the recipe said to add 4 cups of all-purpose flour, which is a lot of flour. I usually use wheat flour, but I didn't know how that would affect the recipe, so I combined that and saw it was a little dry, so I added milk until I got the same consistency as Tasty's, covered it with plastic wrap, and let it sit for 1 hour. Okay, now we're gonna make the filling. So this is a very, very, very softened stick of butter. It's unsalted, and how you know if something is softened is if you like put your finger down and it indents right there. I'm just gonna put this into my bowl. Okay, so I have my very softened piece of butter here, and now with a fork, I'm just gonna mash this up quickly before, and if it seems a little too hard like it does right now, I'm just gonna microwave it for like 5 seconds just so it gets softer. Okay, so now it's a lot softer, so just 5 seconds in the microwave can make a big difference. So this is our filling. So first, just mash all of your butter really well, just like this. So from what I saw in the video, you're supposed to add 3/4 cup of butter, but I added less just because I don't want to add too much butter because there's already a 1/2 cup in the dough. So I'm just gonna make do with this much, and I'm gonna add the rest of my ingredients. So the only 2 things I have to add is 3/4 cup of light brown sugar, and I also have 2 or 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. And while I'm mixing this, the dough is rising. So if you're following at home, what they don't mention is the dough usually rises more towards the end. So if at first it seems like it's not rising at all, but it's still in your oven with the lights on, which is a typically more warmer place, then just wait a little bit longer. If the whole hour passes and it still hasn't risen, just like mine hasn't risen yet, just let it go for 30 more minutes, and I can tell that it's already rising so much faster than how much it was when in the first 30 minutes. So I checked the video again, and it seems like their filling is a lot more like loose and like filling-y than ours. I'm gonna put it in the microwave for like 5 seconds because the butter might just soften up a little bit more. Okay, so I just got this back from my, oh wow, okay. So that's a lot better. So I'm just gonna leave this be as I finish up the rest of the dough. Okay, that is our dough. So it has risen a lot, like I said, and like I said, keep it in the oven if it looks like it hasn't made too much growth, because it will rise eventually. So now there are just a few more add-ins that the video says to do, so I'm just gonna quickly add those in. I'm just gonna, oh, it's risen a lot. So now I'm just gonna add the rest of my ingredients that I'll show you right now. I'm just gonna kind of like make it go a little more lower so I have enough space to put the rest of it. So this is 1 more cup of all-purpose flour, and I was kind of surprised to see that they were adding more, but oh well. And this is 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 2 teaspoons of salt. I have a stand-aid mixer, so as I combine this, I'm just going to tell you how I'm going to knead. So in the video, they are using their hands to knead the dough, but they said it's usually a very long process and it's also kind of late right now. So I want to test out how it would be if we tried doing it in the KitchenAid instead.
Combine this, because you said you don't have to combine it the whole way, and you'll end up with a scraggly dough, which is what I'm starting to see. And after this, I'm just going to put it into my KitchenAid.
I'm gonna add it into my KitchenAid bowl, and I'm gonna plug this in once I'm done. So I'm gonna try to transfer this. This is quite heavy actually. So here I go. Okay, so all my dough's in here, so I'm just gonna go and plug this in. Okay, so this is my stand. Keep calling it stand-aid. KitchenAid mixer. So I have my dough attachment hook, which is what you want to use when you're kneading dough. I'm gonna put this down here, lock it down, make sure it's plugged in, and I'm gonna let it go for about 8 minutes on speed 2. Okay, so this has been going for about 8 minutes. So in the video, they said you're done when the dough bounces back. So let's test that out back at the counter. Okay, so let's do the test. So I have my dough in here, and I'm just going to flour my surface.
And make sure you have a clean surface. I don't have a board, so I'm just going to use my clean countertop. But make sure it is very clean. You don't want, like, all the dirt that's on your counter to get into the dough of the cinnamon rolls.
It looks so smooth.
Yeah, so you can obviously tell the difference from the dough. So let's try the test. So apparently if you poke it, it should kind of come up. So I'm pretty sure that's what it looks like in the video. So I think we're good. And now we can roll our dough out. Okay, now it's time to roll. So she used her fingers like this just to get it really spread out so that we can roll it out nicely. So you just want to make sure you have kind of tight corners so that when it comes to rolling, it's a lot easier to get that nice roll. And try to make sure that it's kind of even. Mine is not completely even, but I'm not sure exactly how to achieve that. So yeah. So now it's filling time, and I'm very excited for this part because I just think it would be nice. So I'm going to plop it down, like they said, in different sections here. So I have all my filling out. So now comes the fun part. We get to spread all of it out. So I think I have a better spatula than this to do this. So let me get that out. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Like, where did you get this? So you can usually get this at like a cake decorator's place, or you can just get them on Walmart. This came in a kit with like a lot of other stuff. So I'm just gonna use this to spread all of it out. Okay, so if you have another person in the kitchen with you, I highly recommend having them grease the pans. So you can use, one tip is to use the butter wrappers, because there will be some melted butter left on them, and to just use that to grease it. Okay, so now comes the scary part, which is the rolling. So this is always the part where I usually mess up. Again, I haven't made these, but this is where like the YouTube videos say is the most important part. I'm gonna start by rolling this up. I'm gonna try to get a nice tight curl so it looks like a nice cinnamon roll, but we'll see. Trying to make sure everything is getting rolled. This is kind of scary. I'm just gonna make sure everything is folding on top of each other. That's not too bad. I'm gonna use the length of my hand to roll it. I'm just gonna try to straighten it out and keep rolling. Okay, so now she said that if there's any particularly fat pieces of the roll, you can just kind of gently. Okay, so now it's time to cut our rolls. So in the video it says to use non-mint dental floss, but we could not find any non-mint dental floss. I think it's kind of impossible to find that these days. So we're just gonna use some thread, which is pretty clean, to cut it instead. So the first one, she said, is not gonna be perfect because you're just trying to get that little extra bit off. So let's try this. Okay, that was kind of satisfying to me. Okay, so this is our... Oh, okay, I know it probably seems like we're overreacting, but this is like the beginning one. It's still the prettiest one we've ever made, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's cut the rest just because I really want to see you. I don't know what the other side looks like, but I just want to see.
You can see that it's like perfectly rolled.
Okay, ready? I think that's a good thickness, right?
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to get a lot
so
of cinnamon
beautiful.
rolls.
I'm so excited to watch. Oh my god. Okay, I know none of this is absolutely perfect, but oh my god, that is so beautiful. Okay, we're just gonna do this to the rest of them. Okay, so these are the beautiful cinnamon rolls we have. We haven't cut all of them out, but now it says to do kind of a second rise. So I kind of don't want to do this because it's like almost 10, but it's okay. We're still gonna do it. So I don't have a towel to cover it with, or at least a clean towel to cover with. So I'm gonna use some aluminum foil and just let them sit like that for 35 minutes. Okay, these are what the cinnamon rolls look like. I baked them at 350 for 20 minutes and then at 320 for about 4 minutes. And they look extra good, and they also smell really good. These came out so good. They're so fluffy and they taste really good, so I highly recommend them. So I made some glaze for the rolls the next morning, so I just left them out overnight. They stayed perfectly like that, but I wouldn't recommend doing it for longer. I just shifted it to a plastic tub afterwards. But the glaze just consisted of powdered sugar and some milk and a little bit of cream cheese, and the rolls are good by themselves, but the glaze also makes it so good. And if you want to find the video that I used for this, just search up Tasty 101 cinnamon rolls and the video will pop right up. I highly recommend making these. They turned out really good and they save for like a week, so yeah. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed my video, and I'll see you in the next one.